problem wasn't in ticketing. It wasn't the technology. Our technology was shit. It was the worst platform I've ever used in my life. Very different today.
Yeah.
At that time, honestly, it was, no kidding, the worst platform I've used.
Welcome to this episode of Minding Your Business. If you've booked an event recently, gone to a concert or a mela, chances are that you booked your ticket on ticketwalla.pk. That's why I'm really excited to be joined by the man behind the company. Hi, Zayan.
Hi, how's it going?
Really good. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So I have lots of questions to ask you, but you just mentioned that you guys launched in 2019, which was right before COVID and lockdown, and the events industry came to a standstill. So what was that like? Did you feel disheartened?
Yeah, I mean, it was both the best and worst experience.
Okay.
The three of us co-founders, best friends since we were kids, moved back from university, no experience, just knew we wanted to get into this space. Finally built out the product, or at least the MVP, and launched it 3 months before COVID hit. We had competition. They'd been around for 7 years. They were funded. We were completely bootstrapped. And so it put us in a really bad position. And we already had no market share at the point because we had just launched. And so it was very, very difficult for us. Obviously, we cried about it for a while, thought everything was over. We had the perfect excuse to stop at that point. Everyone told us to stop. But we did the complete opposite, and we doubled down on our efforts during that time while all our competition was essentially not doing much. And so we actually managed to convert it from what would have been the worst thing for the company into the best thing that's ever happened.
So then how long did it take for you to start back up again?
I mean, we essentially just kept running. We spent maybe a few weeks where we cried about it and tried to figure out what we could possibly do. And then we realized that it wasn't just us that was in the situation. Of course, entertainment's the first thing to go and the last thing to come back. So there was a lot of uncertainty, more than what was already there for a pandemic. But we knew that since everyone is in this situation, and everyone was moving online. They were still doing their classes or courses and doing them on Zoom, but they didn't have a place to market themselves or sell their registrations. So we started listing all of these different courses, makeup classes, fitness classes, photography classes, all of that on Ticketwalla as events essentially on the platform, and started selling these online registrations and doing the marketing for them. And that actually turned out to be pretty great for the time being, and actually kept us alive.
That sounds like a clever way of going about it. Did your competition do something similar?
Not really. So a lot of the competition just stopped. The ones that were primarily focused on just events, they just stopped. They didn't do anything during that time. The ones that were events as well as, let's say, travel and whatnot, I mean, everyone had a tough time during then, but they focused on, let's say, the other departments rather than just events, because events were not happening at all.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So since we were able to capture the entire online events market, it maybe looked small to other people on the outside. And so no one really messed with us during that time in terms of competition. And at the same time, we kind of built relationships with all the prominent event organizers and venues in the country and signed them onto exclusivity with us. So once things reopened, which we knew inevitably they will, we just didn't know when, they will be with us. And so in October of 2021, when things kind of eased up and events started happening again, we went from the bottom straight to the top.
Nice. Okay, so who is this competition? Because honestly, no one is coming to mind immediately.
I mean, at that time, there was, let's say, Book It Now. They were the pioneers, I think, within this event space with the ticketing, as well as happening.pk. There was Easy Tickets, there's Book Me, there was so many others.
Are they all still around?
Some are not. Uh, Today, there's probably more competition than there's ever been, and much larger players as well. But, we've managed to.
Are you sticking to events, or are you thinking about doing tickets for travel, etc.? Like you mentioned, some of your competitors.
It's just entertainment. We've been told many times, especially by investors when we spoke to them, that you guys are fools and you should not be doing entertainment to begin with. It's a market that doesn't really exist. It's very small.
Yeah.
And at that time it was. For perspective, we were, at that time in the country, there was maybe 100 events that were happening in the year that were ticketed. Today, we are doing more than that in a month.
Wow.
So we've seen that growth over time, and we knew it was going to take a while, but that market had to be created, and we wanted to be the ones to create it. But I also believe that had we done the other things like travel and whatnot, as well as entertainment, we probably wouldn't have gotten to this point. And that's why we were able to capture the entire entertainment market,
Right.
because we were able to niche into just that and focus on just that and provide value like no one else could in that specific domain.
So it helped to have that focus.
100%.
So actually, I was gonna say, did you think that you helped? I mean, the events industry has evolved dramatically in the past few years in terms of everything that's happening. Do you think you had any role to play in that?
Definitely. I think obviously we're biased when we say this, but we definitely had a role to play. And it's from the feedback that we've received from both our event organizer clients and our customers, ticket purchasers, that have told us that before you came into play, there wasn't that one centralized entity where you could come and see, discover all the different things that were happening. And that's again where we won. We realized, like I said, we had a competition. The competition had been around way before us and heavily funded when we weren't. The reason we won was because we knew the problem wasn't in ticketing, it wasn't the technology. Our technology was shit. It was the worst platform I've ever used in my life. Very different today. Yeah. At that time, honestly, it was no kidding the worst platform I've used. And so we just won on the fact that we realized that there's a stuff happening, people just don't know about it. And we essentially need to create one place where people can come and discover what's
Okay.
happening. And only then can they purchase tickets. If you don't know about something what's happening, then how are you going to essentially buy tickets and go to that
So
event?
do you think your traffic comes more from someone looking at an event on social media and, buy a ticket and then they come to you, or do they come to you specifically to see what's going on in their city?
Both. Look, so obviously when you're running ads,
Mm.
you're going to have people that click the link and go straight to the event page. But you also have a lot of people that are coming to browse your website to see what's happening,
Okay.
right? And we are that one entity right now where you can come and do that, whether it's our Instagram, our WhatsApp channel, or our website. You come, you see all the different things in your city, all the different categories, and then you purchase from there, because there really is something for everyone. And that's what we've been trying to focus on, not just the few big events, but all the events that are happening.
Okay. And so the reason actually that you caught my attention for this podcast was a LinkedIn post that you put up about how you have all of this data collected from the past 6 years since you've existed, and how you're using that to help brands decide what event to sponsor. So, what kind of data is that? And you're saying you're doing this free of cost for now. Is that to bring about awareness of what you can offer?
So this is something that obviously we couldn't do before. We can do it now because over time, when you've done thousands of events and you've collected data across those thousands of events, you now have a worthwhile database that you can leverage to bring in sales, to provide more value to customers and clients and whatnot. Now, what we've realized over the years is that the events market, it's been growing exponentially. The number of events that are happening, the ticket purchases that are happening, and so forth. But funding for those events, which is essentially sponsorships from brands, that seems to be stagnant, right? So even though events are going up, funding is roughly the same. And the reason for that is that brands are not getting any real ROI. And they're not getting any real ROI because they're funding events based on either a nice pitch deck or connections or corruption, right? And so we kind of wanted to come and fix that, because the event organizers that actually deserve funding don't get it. And so we have the data where we can actually speak to brands and guide them on which events they should or shouldn't be sponsoring based on that data. So we're not giving you the name, number, email of those customers, but we can look at that data and say, you know, this is probably for your target market and this one is probably not. And what's going to end up happening, and obviously there's more insights to that. I'm very oversimplifying it. But what happens is the brand actually gets ROI. So either you get the same results that you're getting right now, which is not based on any real data, or you get better results and it doesn't cost you anything. And the reason we're not taking anything from brands at the moment is because obviously we want to increase the funding in the ecosystem, which means more events, which means better events. And obviously we win from that too.
So what if like a food and beverages company comes to you? What kind of data points are you going to show them?
So again, it really depends on the type of beverage or food as well, right? So if I look at, let's say, even one of these biscuit companies or whatever, they have different products for different segments of the market. Right? If you look at a bank also has different products for different segments of the market. They have, let's say, HPL will have Connect, but it'll also have asset management. And the market for those is going to be completely different. The objectives, the targeting, everything's completely different. And so the events that they should be sponsoring should be completely different, whether it's Connect or whether it's asset management. And so we are able to actually help them distinguish and differentiate between those as well. And where we actually want to come in is, look, we actually get the question from some brands that, are you not incentivized to make the sponsorship price go up so you make more money? Because we take a cut from the event organizer, okay, who were bringing funding that they otherwise didn't have, because we still need to obviously make some money somewhere. But the truth is the actual opposite. It's what I said before, that if you're not going to get any ROI, you're not going to fund more events. And so we actually do the opposite. Once you get a better deal, actually get an ROI on this thing. So you fund more and more and more. And that's where we actually end up winning.
Right. Okay. So you obviously are helping companies decide what events to sponsor. What kind of data do you have that can help the event organizers?
Look, so let's suppose you come and you purchase a ticket on our site. We obviously have your name, number, email, like every website does, right? In order to fulfill your order. But we can also see what you purchased. So was it a concert? Was it a comedy show? Who were the artists that were performing at those shows? What was the location for those shows? What was the ticket prices for those shows and whatnot, right? So if you want to see what the average fan base age is for females for Hassan Rahim concerts in Phase 8 in Karachi, you can do that. And so based on that, you can obviously then sell more tickets or
Right.
sponsor the right events or whatever.
So data is crucial.
Data is crucial.
Yeah.
Of course it is. It's going to help us make, let's say, get more brands on board, help us make better decisions to doing our own events, to consulting event organizers on what they should be doing. Even if it's as simple as, if you're at this venue in this location or this artist, this should be your ticket price, because at the end of the day, we want them to do well. And we should be using that data for everyone's sake.
And how does the model work of what cut you get from an event?
We take 15%.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you mentioned Hassan Rahim. So you have an artist management arm, correct? That's representing 9 artists right now, I think.
Yeah, 10
Yeah.
now.
10 now. So was that always part of the plan or did that just organically happen?
Just happened. I mean, my partners, so I have two partners, Rehan and Zayan. And Zayan is Hassan's manager.
There's another Zion.
There's not, yeah, it gets very confusing. He manages the entire artist division, and he was very close to Hassan. The best friends, and he brought him in and said that, look, this guy's crazy good, and we need to do this. And so it was like, okay, let's do it. And it kind of just happened from then. I think this was also pretty much in COVID or just after COVID, around then. And so we've piggybacked off of him and so forth, vice versa, and kind of just grew the entire thing from there. We knew that entertainment as a whole was what we wanted to do, not just events. And so it was a good horizontal integration in that sense to move into artists. And there's other ways, for example, if Hassan's on an event, the ticketing has to be with us.
Okay.
So things work hand in hand. And it just kind of evolved from there, growing into more artists. Now it's its own entire thing called Source Talent.
Right, okay. So it's kind of gotten its own life of its own now.
Yeah.
That's cool. You also posted something like funny old customer chats that you were using to train your AI bot. So is this AI bot customer facing? Does it exist or is it in the works?
Yeah, so it's live on Messenger. We're testing it out still. And once it gets better, essentially, we'll then start deploying it on other social media channels as well, maybe WhatsApp, then Instagram and whatnot. It's been interesting to actually go back and see all the different types of messages that you receive from customers. Like the ones I posted there were just nuts. But yeah, sometimes that's what you receive.
And are you using AI internally also or just for the bot?
Yeah, we definitely do use AI for sure wherever we can. It helps a lot in at least building systems as well. And kind of, I don't believe that it's the first thing you should go to. First, try and use your own brain. And then when you kind of get stuck, or where you hit that writer's block, or where you need to take it to the next level or build efficiency, then definitely you should do that.
Yeah.
And especially with automations, I think that's where the real key is.
Okay. And just talking a little bit about the startup ecosystem in Pakistan, you guys were incubated at the National Incubation Center, which is like a government project, right? So, what was that like? And what do you think, is the government doing a good job? Because they are genuinely, seems to be that they're trying to help SMEs and startups quite a bit right now. Do you see that genuine effort? Do you think there's more that they could be doing? And how is the NIC experience?
It was great for us. I've gone back recently as well to give a talk, workshop over there, in touch with all the different people that have been coming and going over the years. And they've been excellent mostly at helping us within network. So if you want to meet someone, they're great at building those connections and opening those doors for you, especially for companies that need a space to go and actually be able to work as well. And then you have access to all these different workshops where people coming and teaching these things, like myself going back after 6-7 years in the field now. It's great like that. So it brings you that exposure and that experience. I think it's a fantastic initiative, honestly, by the government. And I think that I've seen a lot of stuff now that the government's bringing funding to startups, and there's different, all that stuff happening. I don't know too much about it, so I'm probably not the best person to ask, but it's good to see that these things are now starting to happen. It was definitely needed. But I also want to kind of focus on the fact that most startups are kind of under the impression that they have to raise funding in order to kind of make it big or do anything really, or even get off the ground. And I think that's not true. I've seen that obviously firsthand as well. But also now in the age of AI, like you mentioned earlier, there's a lot more that you can do without needing that extra funding and help, just off of, let's say, even being able to build out these applications or MVPs with uh, all these different, even Lovable, for example, right, or Cursor, or Cloud, or whatever you want to use. And it's pretty crazy. Like I said, our initial platform was terrible. These AI models would probably build a better platform than we had back then, and you could probably do it in a day.
Yeah.
And so things are very, very different than they used to be. And even though the government is bringing this funding in, I think it's that misconception uh, that startups has, that kind of needs to change.
So, what's the, if not funding, what is the most important thing someone needs to have in order to start?
Trial and errors.
Okay.
Yeah, the biggest thing is actually launching your product and getting feedback, because your product is going to be bad at first. I just don't see how it wouldn't be, because you're building it off of, mostly people build it off of their own perspectives and those of the people around them, and they don't necessarily go into the market and do proper research. And even that research can only go a long enough way where at a certain point the person needs to experience your product and then give you feedback on how it actually works, or what other features there should be and whatnot. So once you're able to actually identify those pain points and build for that, that's when the revenue will actually kick in.
So that helped you a lot, trial and error.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, if you look at even the fact that we're an e-ticketing platform, which means online tickets, which means internet, our biggest USP for the longest time was the fact that we had an offline ticketing system, because internet does not work here. And so we had to do exactly the opposite. Even though you're building an online platform,
Right.
the internet doesn't work. So you needed to build an offline platform
Okay.
just to be able to scan the tickets.
Right. Okay.
So that's stuff that you really figure out once you go into the field. And then obviously, amongst other things, small features, there's different types of events that happen, whether they're concerts or comedy shows, there's tech events, whether this private stuff that's happening. And so each one has its own uh, queries, right? Let's suppose you want to ask customer specific questions, like let's say Disrupt happens every year. They want to find out information about your startup. And so we need to build, let's say, a form into our website where you can ask customers questions before they're able to purchase their tickets. And so when you start, obviously, you're not going to start with all the features. You're going to start with an MVP, which is what you should do. But then at the same time, you should I mean, you're going to get that feedback and understand what your customers really want. And over time, you'll realize that you're not going to build out all of those things either, but you have to see what really moves the needle and then build that out. But none of that can happen until you actually go to market.
And you mentioned, the internet doesn't work. So, are there going to always be physical tickets, or is it completely moving online, the system? I mean, of just having it on your phone now.
Yeah, I mean, we used to do by far the majority offline before, and cash on delivery was the main source
Okay.
of payments. But now we have no cash on delivery option on the site anymore.
Okay.
Even though, let's say, I think 95% plus was cash on delivery before. We don't even
Right.
have it anymore on the
Okay.
site. So we completely moved off of that. It's all online payments, and it's completely flipped. We have way more online sales than we do offline at this point. And so the market is definitely moving in that
Yeah.
direction and changing.
So, do you think maybe one day physical tickets will completely disappear?
Yeah, we're trying to get rid of them for sure.
Yeah,
We're
that's the
building
goal.
out some new features that we'll be launching in the next couple of months that we think can completely eradicate physical tickets over here. And I think it'll be the best thing because honestly, physical wherever there has been physical ticket sales, we've noticed, and I don't mean on the day of the event. That's fine. You need to get more sales. You open sales at the gate. That's fine. I'm talking about when you keep them at physical locations before the event, that has always led to more fake tickets.
Of course. Yeah.
And so we want to basically remove those from the market and just switch online.
Yeah. So, who are you partnering with in terms of payments
The-
and fintech?
So we've worked with almost all of them at this
Okay.
point, honestly. Currently, we have PayFast, we have PayPro, we have Switch, we have EasyPesa, and we have JazzCash. So we cover pretty much everything, even multiple aggregators that all pretty much give you the same payment methods. And the reason being that in the case that something goes wrong, for whatever reason, maybe one is doing a maintenance, it could be routine maintenance, we have a backup. And so customers have the option that if their card doesn't work on one, maybe they can try and on another one and works from there. And we never want to be in that situation where the customer's complaining, saying we having issues with payments or we don't have the option to be able to pay.
Okay. When did you get rid of COD? I found that quite interesting.
Right around we started scaling it out right after COVID.
Okay.
And even during, we kind of use that sanitary aspect that, we're giving physical tickets as germs. And like we had to play that psyche a little bit. We wanted to
Okay.
scale it out. We made it more difficult in the sense that we made it more expensive. If you wanted COD, we raised the price of COD. We started speaking to our clients and telling them that if there are returns, then whatever the cost of that return is, you have to bear it because we're not going to bear it.
Right.
So we can open it, but you have to bear that cost.
Okay.
And so a lot of our clients start removing it as well, saying we don't want to bear that cost. And the main thing was that we saw that customers were willing to pay online.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that it did not hurt sales.
Yeah, not really, honestly.
Yeah.
So we tested it out with Karachi Eat in the beginning. And at that time, because it was the first one after COVID, they agreed to announce with us that tickets would not be sold at the gate, and so they'll only be online. And this was, I think, a day or two before the event. And so all those tickets went online, and we removed COD because honestly, it wasn't possible to do COD with 1 day or 2 days before because you have to actually be able to print those tickets and then deliver those tickets and so forth. So we didn't do COD, and we had the most sales we've ever had,
Okay.
in that day.
Hmm.
Obviously more since then, but at the time.
Right.
And Karachi Eat, it's caters to all types of different people, and the ticket price was such, I think at the time ARSB was like 400 450 rupees.
Okay.
And so we saw that, look, when not given an option and people want to attend that event, they will.
They'll figure a way.
They'll figure out a way.
Yeah.
Whether it's their card or their friend's card or whoever's card, they will figure it out. And that was kind of the turning point for us to like, okay, you know what? Now we start scaling this out.
And as a client of these fintech payment platforms, how have you found them to have evolved over the years?
They've gotten better,
Mm.
for sure. There were issues for sure over time, but it's been many years, and I think it's the same thing. It's trial and error. A lot of things work when volumes are low, and then when volumes increase, things just kind of break. I think that happens uh, across all platforms. And so the same way we've improved, they've improved too. And now honestly, it's much better than they used to be.
And there's a lot of platforms or pages out there pretending to be you.
Yeah.
Is that flattering?
It honestly, it was initially, until it became a big problem.
So how are you dealing with it?
We went to the FIA as well. Sorry, NCCIA.
Okay.
And we obviously reported all the pages, got other people to report the pages, and our page even got taken down. So
Well,
yeah, it was when
not
theirs got
ideal.
down, they took ours down. And our Instagram is very important for us because it's a place where, I mean, we have close to 200,000 followers. I think this month we have like 33 million in reach. And so we have a lot of people that come to see what's going on.
Of course, yeah.
And so it actually did impact sales for those 3 days.
Mm.
It actually heavily impacted sales.
So it
for
was
those
blocked
3
for 3 days.
Yeah, it was just down for 3
Oh.
days. And a lot of our clients work with us also because they know of our organic reach, and so it was quite problematic. Obviously, there was uncertainty. A lot of people were getting scammed from the fake pages. We were doing whatever we could to get it taken down. And there wasn't just one or two, there was like 15,
Oh.
on every single platform. I mean, there was on TikTok, there was on Threads, there was on Twitter,
Oh.
on Instagram, on Facebook, on WhatsApp. I mean, it just got out of control.
All of these pages were pretending to be official Ticketwalla
Yeah,
pages. Oh wow, okay.
completely identical. And then they were buying followers, and then they were running ads
Wow,
as
okay.
well. So what was happening
It's
was,
quite a serious campaign.
yeah, they were making bank, dude.
Do you think there were lots of different people behind this, or?
Yeah, I think, yeah, there's a lot of different people behind it. And there was also a few that were
Working together.
Yeah, working
Okay.
together. But it's much better now. It's much better now.
If Ticketwalla was to disappear tomorrow, would there be a big gap in the market?
Possibly, but I think it would take time. There's a lot of competitors that we have right now that would all be fighting for the same share. And like I said, it's not about the ticketing as a technology. We're by far the most expensive in the market as well, but we still retain the most market share. And that's because we're able to have that discovery element, and also the trust. People know that when the tickets are on Ticketwalla, it's safe, you'll be fine. If it gets cancelled, you get refunded, all of that stuff. So there would be a gap for sure, but I don't see why we would ever go anywhere.
No, I hope you don't. That was just a question. What's the biggest challenge that you faced so far?
So far, honestly, every single day is a big challenge. Things go wrong constantly. I think I realized this very recently, actually, that a lot of the stuff that used to freak us out before, like a few years ago, we're not even phased by anymore.
Wow.
And the problems just get bigger, right? Like, let's suppose if we actually had an issue with a payment partner a few years ago where we lost 1.8 million.
Okay.
And at that time, that was huge for us.
Yeah, I can imagine.
And now, if the same issue happened,
Yeah.
it would just kill us overnight, because the volumes are so different.
Right.
And so the problems just get bigger and bigger, the amplified, and it's
I guess as the
challenge.
platform gets bigger, the problems get bigger.
Yeah,
Right?
because I mean, let's suppose you have something that goes wrong and you're doing 10 orders a day.
Yeah.
But if the same thing goes wrong and you're doing 10,000 orders a day, then it's completely different magnitude.
Yeah. Right.
So things get scarier. The things that are smaller get easier to handle.
Hmm.
But new things keep coming up constantly.
So are you profitable? Have you been?
Yeah.
And are you still raising money, or you're self-sustained?
So we're of two minds about it. We're speaking to investors. We are raising money, but we don't need the money
Mm-hmm.
necessarily, in the sense that we are profitable. We're okay. We're good. But it will help us supercharge things and do things that we want to do. So I'm not going to reveal essentially what our plans are at the moment, but there's a lot of cool stuff that we're planning, and that's what we want to raise for.
Okay.
But for the general day-to-day, we're
good. And where do you see Ticketwalla in 5 years?
we definitely want to retain the market share that we have in Pakistan,
Which is how much?
which is over 90%.
Okay.
Yeah, for events,
Mm.
e-ticket for sure. And we want to be in all over Pakistan. So not right now, majority of events are still Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, Hyderabad, Faisalabad, Gujranwala, Sialkot, Multan. All these places are opening up. So
Okay.
we've done events across them all, especially in the last few months. A lot have been happening,
Oh, interesting.
but more are going to keep happening. Right. So it's a very copycat market as well. When one thing happens, other people kind of follow and say, we're also going to do this. And when they see that, that person is doing well, let's say they do a concert and it's the sold out show.
Yeah.
Now other people come and say, we're also going to do this.
Okay.
And that's kind of how this market grew. And so we want that to happen, obviously, across Pakistan. And the same way we moved into, let's say, artist management, we will also be moving into other
Right.
things as well, within entertainment for now at least.
Okay.
And ideally, we'll be global too. So that's also something we're working.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Not too much at the moment,
Okay.
but essentially we'll be hopefully starting operations abroad.
Nice.
Let's
Okay.
just keep it.
What kind of timeline before you announce
Yeah,
something?
maybe.
Within the next year. Okay. And in terms of Karachi, Islamabad, Lahore, are there very obvious data points about what kind of events people prefer, or is it all a mix bag?
Concerts and pop-up markets definitely do the best.
Hmm.
Okay, so those are by far the outlets.
Is that true for smaller cities also?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely what attracts the most people. Comedy shows sell out, but they're much smaller. It would be hard to probably fill a stadium over here with 1,000 or 2,000 or 5,000 people for a comedy show. The market's not there yet, and it's also not been tried and tested over here. Whereas concerts do 10,000 people quite normally now. 5,000, 3,000, 5,000 is
Yeah.
quite normal. And so pop-up markets and concerts are definitely the outliers. There are many other segments that are growing. So comedy obviously is killing it. There's a lot of these more tech events that are happening slowly. Workshops are starting to happen more and more. I mean, there's all these like sound baths and random stuff like that that's happening as well. Theater is growing like crazy.
Really?
Well, over the last 2 years, theater has exploded. So there's a lot more stuff. And it's very interesting to see that it's not just those same types of events happening, but new types of events that keep happening.
And people are open to it.
Yeah, people are open to it, right? Like you've seen over the last year, these coffee shop raves and stuff that have started. That didn't exist a year ago.
Okay.
So new stuff is.
What are coffee shop raves?
It's basically exactly what it sounds like.
Okay, so raves held in.
It's a rave in a coffee shop.
Okay.
Yeah.
In all cities around the country.
I mean, Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad, I think definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Clearly, I'm not in touch with what's going on, but that sounds really fun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool, and they do super well.
And is there anything else that you wanted to talk about that I've not asked, or something you wish someone would ask you?
I think you've covered a lot of the good bases, honestly.
Okay.
I think you've done a good job with it. Different questions that other people haven't really asked.
Okay, I'm glad to hear that. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.